Zoom in on your legal. Do it easily.
LegalZoom.
Yeah, here's the thing about LegalZoom. Business owners, when you're trying to set up a company, do you know how to even put your assets in the right spot?
I've never known where to put my assets.
Exactly, right? What about hiring people and putting together an employee contract?
No.
That's sound like something you can write up just by yourself?
You can't just shout out the door, hey, you want to work for me? It doesn't work like that.
No. LegalZoom.
I learned that.
It used to work that way. It doesn't work that way anymore. LegalZoom takes care of it for you in just a few clicks. And if you're ready for some hands-on help, their network of experienced attorneys from around the country has your back. You can launch, you can run, and you can protect your business today at LegalZoom.com and use that promo code DANGLE to get 10% off your LegalZoom business formation products, excluding subscriptions and renewals. Expires this New Year's Eve. Ooh. So remember to sign up before you party. Okay? All right?
It's important.
Get everything you need. LegalZoom.com and use that promo code DANGLE. LegalZoom.com, promo code DANGLE. LegalZoom provides access to independent attorneys and self-service tools. LegalZoom is not a law firm and does not provide legal advice, except we're authorized through the subsidiary law firm LZ Legal Services, LLC. Let's start the show.
SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
You know what? We've done a lot of shows on New York this week, and guess what?
And this is another one.
More shows on New York. We haven't had a chance to talk about the Kaapo trade. Buffalo and Toronto are playing tonight. Buffalo still have not won yet, so they can break their losing streak against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
No.
Winless streak.
Oh, sorry.
They're very stingent about that because they did get a couple points, and so.
That's true. They got three of a possible 22, Jesse. And you know what? God bless them.
Oh boy, it's not great.
We ruffled some feathers socially the other day. I think Montreal Canadiens fans are duly upset with us. But I do love that Julian compared Patrick Laine's goal scoring and plus minus to Jameis Winston getting 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions.
That was actually a crazy stat.
Yeah.
On the CJ show.
I was there when he set the record. By the way, when he got over 30 touchdowns, I was in the bill. I was at the Bucks game.
First of all, that's crazy.
Yeah,
you're like the Forrest Gump of going to games.
I know.
But Julian pointed out that Laine could be, what was it, the first player to ever score 40 and be minus 40?
Yes.
Because he keeps scoring on the power play and it doesn't count to plus minus.
Yes.
That was a crazy stat. Listen, Adam and Jesse were mean to the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, we were mean.
But the cope in the comments.
Oh, it was aggressive.
The copements. Well, no, the Habs believe in shot quality.
Yes.
Do you think Martin St. Louis is like, whoa,
Hold on,
boys?
Jesse,
What are they upset about?
They're upset about the fact that you dared to bring up the true stat that they haven't eclipsed 30 shots, or at least to that point had not eclipsed 30 shots in a game this season.
Yeah,
And Montreal Canadiens fans were telling us, well, you don't need 30 shots to win. And my question to you is, how else do you propose winning since you haven't very much?
Well, it's
okay. Thank you.
As if Martin St. Louis is like, boys. It's second intermission. We're already at 25 shots.
Dial it back.
Dial it back.
Yeah.
That's too much. This is the National Hockey League. You don't win games by getting 30 shots or more. That's enough. That's enough.
The cope in the comments was aggressive. And listen, you know what? They don't want their yum yucked because they got Laine back. He's been scoring like crazy.
That's what that all started because I was like, hooray for Laine. He's doing well. And Jesse went, no.
No, I think you said hooray for the Canadians. You did not say hooray for Laine.
You disrespected him a little bit.
And
you
then
insulted him a little bit.
And then
you did.
We intentionally did this. I got a lot of angry messages from people who don't listen to the show about remember the clip where I re-recorded the top end and I said, what happens when Connor McDavid becomes a New York Ranger?
That was you asked for that.
Well, no, I did. And it was great. It was exactly what I expected. It was fantastic. I loved it.
What are they going to do when McDavid signs with the Rangers?
I don't know. I didn't know he could play in Kitchener.
Hey.
Anyway,
just terrible.
Let's talk about Kaapo. Let's talk about Will Borgen. And let's talk about the New York Rangers. The roster's freeze. I believe it's tonight, is it not? Or is it yesterday?
It's already frozen.
It's already frozen.
Yeah, it's Thursday at 11:59.
Okay. So we will get no more trades. but we will get Will Borgen
I thought it was tonight.
playing actual minutes for the New York Rangers, which they seem to need. Kaapo Kakko, it was funny to listen to the Chris Johnson show on the way in. Chris was like, them saying that, or getting out there that Kaapo Kakko's comments about being scratched before his last game, they didn't really have anything to do with the trade. And Chris is like, well, I wouldn't say it necessitated the trade, but it's not like it didn't have something to do with the trade. And some of the trades that are now leaking out, some of the proposals that were in front of the Rangers last season for Kakko are a lot better. Not that Will Borgen's bad, because we can talk about him in a bit.
That's an all right deal.
Yeah, but it could have been a lot better.
It could have. It's just difficult, though, because you're trading a guy off your roster who I thought he was useful during the playoffs. I liked his game. I couldn't understand. That's not true. I could understand. He was picked second overall, and you want him to play like a player who's picked second overall. But I was watching him. I think he was on the third line and going, this is a really effective player. Like, he's annoying. He hunts down pucks really well. He's not going to score a ton, but he's found his niche on the Rangers and he's effective. So yeah, it would have been nice to get those packages for sure, but they didn't know they were going to be hot ass. Like, the Rangers need to not rebuild on the fly, but let's say some of the older players heading into the season take a step back. Well, who do you expect to take a step forward? Mm-hmm. I would expect Alexis Lafreniere to take a step forward. Mm-hmm. I would expect Kaapo Kakko to take a step forward, and so on and so on and so on. So you want him to take on some of that load. The packages were better for him last year, but
they were good last year.
They tried to make it work.
Yep.
They tried to make it work. This Rangers situation is not common. Like, it's not usual. It's not a team that was bound to fall off and bound to stink, holding on for too long. Mm-hmm. It's a really, really, really good team that's fractured right now. It's an emotional thing. I think it's an emotional problem with the New York Rangers, which is why, we keep betting on them to figure it out at some point, or at very least not write them off, because it just feels like a fool's errand to bet against a team that did so well literally just months ago.
Yeah. With Kakko, it's very apparent that the Chris Drury isn't a fan and was never a fan of Kakko in his game, and is generally disappointed in what happened, because with him being the second overall pick and how he's played, because he became GM in 2021, but before that he was assistant GM. So he didn't make the draft pick, but he's been in the front office since that pick's been made. So he's seen this kid from the inception of his career as a New York Ranger till now. And Gerard Gallant, when he was there, he gave Kakko a run. Like, the kid line that they had peaks, it was really good at some moments. You saw sparks of brilliance when they were all together. And then when Laviolette came in, it was very apparent that he echoed the GM sentiments and was also not a fan of Kakko. And that's when you saw his time diminish. That's when you saw like this past weekend when he received the brunt of the punishment for the team playing poorly, which didn't make sense. And Kakko in his tenure as a New York Ranger never averaged over 15, 30 average ice time in a season. His average ice time has only gone down the last 2 years. And for that type of player, he's better than that. He deserves a bigger chance here. And it's disappointing for the New York Rangers to wind up with a second round pick that turns into a third pair defenseman, and a couple draft picks.
Second overall pick.
What did I say?
Second round.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, second
I was like,
overall
they didn't even
pick.
get that in the trade.
Second overall pick that turns into a third pairing defenseman for them. But it's for Kakko, it's a bright spot because he gets to go play a top 6 role in Seattle. We saw it last night, and he gets to try and show everybody what he tried to prove in New York.
Now, how would you feel if your team got a player that was once called the best player not playing in the NHL?
I'd be excited.
Wayne Gretzky.
You'd be excited.
I'd be like, man, I can't wait to see Jonas Gustafsson playing for the Leafs.
Yeah.
So the best player not playing in the NHL. What if I told you that player then came to the NHL?
Okay.
and he's got a career high of 41 points.
Who's this?
No. Okay, fine. I'll just tell you. It's Eli Tolvanen. Eli Tolvanen was a really, really coveted piece for the Nashville Predators for a long time. And he came to the NHL and he didn't really do much. And then he ended up in Seattle. And you know what? He didn't look like a guy who was previously the best player not in the NHL, but he turned into a really effective NHL.
He's having a decent year. Like
He's a good player.
Yeah.
Like, he's not elite. He's not what we all thought he might be, but he's really good for the Seattle Kraken. They need people to score for them badly, and he helps provide that. I wonder if Seattle's looking at Kaapo going, this is the next one. This is our next good bet on a once highly sought after player who just needs the chance.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good bet to make, especially for Borgren, who they're not going to bring back. Like, he was always this season going to be a trade deadline move where either they're in a position to sell or a position to buy, but he's going to be one of the pieces going out the other way because he's a UFA coming up and they don't need him now that they have Brandon Montour on that right side. He just got pushed down. He's been playing less minutes this whole season. So for a free piece that you were always going to move to get a hope and a prayer on Kaapo that he can be something else, it's a good move for them.
It's a hope and a prayer, but like, even if he never becomes better than he is, a lot of second round picks never become as good as Kaapo already is.
Second overall picks or second round picks?
Second round pick.
Oh, okay, because he was traded for a second rounder.
No,
let's
he was
say
traded for a third and a sixth.
Oh, well, there you go. A lot of third round picks never become as good as Kaapo is, and sixth round picks especially.
Oh, yeah.
So I really like the bet for the Kraken. I think I like this trade for the Rangers more than most people. It's underwhelming.
The trade, like, this was the reason that it's come due for Kaapo is the same reason that Borgren had to leave Seattle, is that Kaapo needed a new contract. This was the year where things are due now. We need to either sign you because you're an RFA to some sort of long-term deal because you're going to be a UFA after that, or we move on. And that's why there's a decision to be made for them.
I think Borgen's a good player. Like, the Rangers, it's funny. This is exactly what we were talking about last show, is they've made a couple subtractions. They haven't added. This is them sort of plugging the gap left by Jacob Trouba. Like, was Jacob Trouba worth $8 million? No. But he wasn't so bad that you can take him out of the lineup and expect to be better by just replacing him with whoever the hell. Adding Borgen in there helps the team now. Getting a couple draft picks is better than a kick in the pants. Like, it's not a terrible trade for them. It's just not nearly as good as the ones they could have.
It's not a terrible trade at all in terms of the actual what happened here from the players swapping. Like, I like that they got the third and the sixth, and for Kaapo, who's been half a point a game his whole career, if it was just that player. But in the context of the Rangers as a whole, and the history and the infighting and what it could have been from a second overall that. It's disappointing for the fan base, to see this kid leave.
It's disappointing for the fan base, and I think if you're Chris Drury, it's also spilt milk. Like, you can't waste time. And here's what they have now. So they still have leftover cap space from the moves that they've made, and now they have some assets. Like, if I was Chris Drury, those picks would be burning a hole in my pocket. I'd be getting them out the door as fast as I can. How can I add to this team? Because the Sens are doing great. But if I'm Drury, I'm looking at the Eastern Conference standings, and I'm going, the thing keeping my hockey team, my President's Trophy Final Four hockey team, out of the playoffs right now is the Ottawa frickin' Senators. No. Yeah, their goalie's good. We have Igor Shesterkin.
Right.
Like, we have to make the playoffs this year. And with all the heat that he's taken this season, like, I think it'll be quite the feather in his cap if he can turn this around.
I think all the credit should go to the players.
Yeah, but like, is it last show you were talking about how, like, it's the players who need to pull their socks up.
Yeah. And I hope they do it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing about a team. I think it's a team effort, right? It's all of them, right?
Borgen, if Jacob Trouba made $2.7 million and was an upcoming
He'd still be a
UFA
Ranger.
this season, he'd be the greatest defenseman ever for this team. Borgen fills that gap at that price, so it's a good move for them, especially with Keandre Miller being out. Looks like a little while here. They got a defenseman to plug that hole.
I think there are some teams apparently that were upset that Borgen's off the market, that they were going to wait and see how things happen until like after Four Nations and then try to make a trade for him. And so
they jumped the queue.
Yeah.
It was smart.
He's kind of good for a team that doesn't actually know what they are. Because if the Rangers turn it around and Borgen's a part of it, great. Hooray. If they completely stink and they end up selling at the deadline, well, there's some more free picks.
You get double value for it.
Yeah.
You get the picks and then you trade him, you get some more picks.
You could probably get it. I mean, if he does well, he can't play like ass, but like if he does well, he's a right-handed shot, is he? Oh boy, right-handed shot.
And he had a really good season last year with Jamie Oleksiak. They played like a ton of minutes together in Seattle, and he just got pushed out by Montour, but he's very useful.
That's automatic second-round pick, pretty
Right?
much. Like, what did Lyubushkin go for last year? It was like a third and a fourth or something.
McDavid
McDavid for Lyubushkin.
They got McDavid and Hyman. Like, yeah, I'd like the bet for the Rangers. Yeah, you wish you got more for Kaapo, but spilt milk.
The Buffalo Sabres, moving on to other New York teams, have the third last power play in terms of percentage in the NHL. They are in the bottom third. I believe they're 8th or 9th last in penalty kill. They are, as bad as the Rangers have been, Buffalo's the bad story. If you're going to power rank bad stories, Buffalo's the bad story. And it's not because, usually it would be the Rangers, because the Rangers are supposed to be good and they're not great right now. That's the big story. But Buffalo was supposed to at least challenge for the playoffs. And if you add the 14 years leading up to this,
It's such important context.
as Leaf fans know,
Yeah.
like teams like to try to gaslight you and tell you, oh, no, well, that's not part of this because I wasn't here. No, it was. It is.
It doesn't
When
matter.
you get the job, you assume the history.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, bro.
Is that unfair? Too bad. Well, you make $4 or $5 million a year, so it sounds like you got a problem on your hands.
Yeah.
And I thought CJ saying, again, I listened to that this morning, and I'm adding to my prep as I'm going here. CJ saying that he used this word. It was sort of like there's like is it panic or flail? Either of them.
I think he said flail.
Yeah, and so there is a sense of something's got to happen in Buffalo. Whatever Terry Pagula told them, don't expect a big trade. They seem to they seem to recognize they need to do something. But it's hard to imagine anything but a big trade changing this. However, we have seen in the past where some minor deal kind of turns things around for teams. Is that minor deal out there once the roster unfreezes? And frankly, is the answer in this room?
Can the Rangers and Sabres help each other?
Oh, yeah. It's good.
Well, because and I asked that because they're in the same conference, but not the same division. And if you're Chris Drury or if you're Kevin Adams, all the teams calling you right now are trying to screw you.
Yeah.
Like, they're not trying to offer you a deal that's going to help you out. They're calling you because you're desperate. So if you're a desperate GM, your best bet is probably to call the other ones.
Yep.
Right? So that's why I feel like that could be a match. Both teams could use a forward. I don't.
What Sabres could use a win. What could they do to get rid of those? I mean, listen, I hope it doesn't happen tonight against the Leafs, but wouldn't that be perfect?
Yeah, I'm like
Friday before Christmas.
I'm like Lindgren to the Sabre. No, they have personnel back there. Like, can't help but think there's something there.
Right.
There's something there. Or like the Rangers and Preds should be calling each other. The Preds and the Sabres should be calling each other. The Blackhawks should be calling every team I just mentioned.
Yes.
Right? Like,
Yep.
these are all teams that need a turnaround
Yep.
and want a turnaround. Yeah, I don't.
It would have been nice. It would have been nice for the Buffalo Sabres to acquire this big player, make this big move in the offseason. They had like $7 million in cap space.
Any player?
In the middle of July. And Kevin Adams sat on his hands and decided.
Yes, he did.
He decided to do nothing with all of this cap space.
I thought you were going to be like, this player had X amount of goals, X amount of assists. You're like, no, anybody.
No, literally anybody. It wasn't Jason Zucker. Like, your job this off.
Zucker's been great, eh? Like,
sure. Yeah, and how great's the team? Like, your job this off season was to make the moves to improve this team, not look at it after last season when you weren't good enough and bring back as everybody plus Jason Zucker, and then you're just cool.
Zibanejad for
go.
Byram. Who says no? Boom. Zibanejad for Byram. Who says no? Boom.
I like
Right
that.
there. Like, I don't know. Let's cook. Let's do something here.
Well, they're going to have to wait till after the holidays over.
Yeah.
And yeah, it started 11:59 last night. It runs till after Boxing Day, and you're not even allowed to practice on those days. The Christmas, the little New Year's, Christmas Eve, Boxing Day, Christmas Day. So
That's good.
doors are even shut there.
That's good. I'm glad that they have to mandate that, because there's some of those coaches are just psychotic, and they'd be like, "Yep, no, it's time for you guys to get your skates on. Make sure you don't miss a day of practice." Like,
Is there anything the Rangers and Sabres need more than a break?
oh, they need a break.
Don't think about it. I think you should barely even talk to your teammates. Like, just escape for a little bit and see what happens first game back.
And it ends the 28th at 12:01. Is when
Okay.
you can get transactions again, which is quite a bit of time. The 19th to the 28th.
Yeah, yeah.
I never realize every year how long that actually is.
It's interesting. Like, this was the first time the holiday trade freeze felt like a holiday trade deadline, right? Like, teams were making moves, and it was some of the teams we just mentioned, right? Like,
Yeah, we got 3 trades on Thursday.
Yep.
who was?
Barry Trotz needs to put down the phone.
Oh my God, he's got itchy,
It's-
itchy thumbs.
We're gonna talk about that.
Dubas, Trotz, and Drury, like the 3 guys who are looking at their rosters and be like, we need to do things,
3 horsemen of the Midpocalypse.
right? And Doug Armstrong too.
Doug Armstrong too. Yeah, right now. Since you bring it up, Jesse, the Justin Barron for Alex Carrier trade. Obviously, the Preds are doing stuff. We're not quite sure what. Does make a lot of sense for Carrier on the Habs. He just signed that 3-year deal. He is a French-Canadian guy, always wanted to play in Montreal. It's a great deal for the Habs, and it gives them a little bit more stability. Matheson and David Savard have basically had to carry the whole defense and let these young guys play. And obviously, Justin Barron wasn't going to get the same ice time. That's why guys like Kovacevic and who was the other guy that was traded to Columbus this offseason?
So there's Justin. Who was dealt in this one? It was Justin Barron or Justin Harris?
Yeah, Harris was also dealt this offseason. Yeah.
It was. I'm like, okay, who's the fringe Habs defenseman named Justin? And they had 2.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Confusing for me.
So we're looking at this, and this seems like a really smart trade for the Montreal Canadiens. Obviously, Nashville, it's very clear. They're trying to clear salary.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because for me, it's another Nashville trade where I'm like, okay, I see what the other team was going for. I don't see what you're going for.
They got $2 million off the cap and 2 years younger is what they swapped right-handed defensemen. That drops their cap by $2 million over the next couple seasons and this season. And they got a guy who's 2 years younger than the guy they traded away.
So were they just open?
Oh, no, 5.
Like
5.
Harry
is 28, Barron's 23.
Oh, I thought it was 25, 23. Yeah. Oh, my bad.
So are they just selling now?
No.
Or is this just a good move?
No, they're not, apparently. From what I read this morning, I think the Hockey News had it, and I forget the name here, but there were reports out there this morning, and I apologize for not pulling it up faster, that the Nashville Predators are looking to buy, that they're going to double down on this. And I thought that was very interesting.
So yesterday, Barry Trotz did a sit down with Pierre. Well, I don't know if sit down happened yesterday, published yesterday. Pierre LeBrun spoke with Barry Trotz, and he said, "It's not a rebuild. I'm not in the business of not winning. I'm in the business of trying to win. We're not selling off. We are resetting. We know where we are. It's not where we thought we would be, but we want to move forward." So he sat down with Pierre, and he clarified the comments that went viral from the radio interview he did. And he says, no, we're not. The rebuild word was kind of the wrong word. We are trying to win. That's what I'm doing.
Emma Lingen is the reporter. She said today, per source, Barry Trotz is lining up potential deals for January, buying, not selling.
So that's perfect, because that's why I brought up the holiday trade deadline and not freeze. Is there was kind of a race up to it, and I think a bunch of people missed the deadline. And now they've got all those conversations that they've already had. They can still talk for the next few days, maybe have a little turkey or ham or whatever, and then get right back to it.
You're a turkey.
You're a turkey. You're a freaking turkey. Don't call me that. I'll throw hands right now. Turkey's fighting words. I think this is like CJ keeps saying it. It's been one of my favorite themes of his show this season. Is it seemed restless, right? It seemed restless at the beginning of the season, and he was being very pragmatic about it. He's like, yeah, but like how many moves of consequence do you see like in the fall? And nah. And then the noise didn't die down. It ramped up, like way up. This is usually when we're talking about like games and storylines from games. And did you see John Tortorella lost his mind again and stuff like that? It hasn't quieted down, and the trades have kept coming. Mm-hmm. And, you know, teams are out there looking to trade with new partners. Dubas is still out there trying to trade with Doug Armstrong. Penguins fans, what did I tell you?
Yeah.
He loves calling Doug Armstrong. He friggin' loves it.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
We'll talk about that. It's an exciting time to pay attention to who plays for who.
I wonder what the Nashville deals will be, guys, because I'm assuming any center that might be available. Excuse me. And what's weird is that I can't tell with Calgary, is Nazem Kadri available or not? Do they?
Yeah, that's by design.
Like, do they want to make the playoffs or not? I think they want to make the playoffs. Do they want to get Kadri's contract off the books? Probably.
Calgary noise is, I'm sorry, it's on the ignore list.
Okay.
For me, it's on the ignore list. We spent how much time talking about stuff that never happened with the Flames last year? Mm-hmm. Like, they were noisy and stuff did happen, but it was never the stuff we were paying attention to.
Yep.
If I tell you what, I'll pay attention to Calgary as long as Toronto does not come out of their mouth. It's not happening.
Well, yeah, we didn't think that was going to happen, but I wonder if a Kadri to Preds makes sense or something like that.
I think it makes perfect sense.
BetMGM is an official sports betting partner of the National Hockey League, has your back all season long. From puck drop to final shot, you're always taken care of. Now, what are we looking for over the holidays? Are we looking for teams? Are we looking for some weird upsets? Maybe teams distracted, a little too much fun at Christmas? Like, what are we thinking here?
I got my eyes on those really weird early New Year's Eve games.
Oh, those are weird.
Yeah, those are going to be weird.
Leafs got one.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's the free space in the world of weird. And Monday, last game before Christmas, so people are going to be distracted. But it's two teams that don't like each other very much. In the Leafs and the Winnipeg Jets. I think that game is going to be chaos.
In Toronto, right?
In Toronto.
All right. Let's see it. Is there anything better than beating the Jets?
Yes, it's downloading the BetMGM app. A sports book worth a selling, official sports betting partner of the National Hockey League. BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 19 years of age or older to wager. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you have any questions or concerns about your gambling or somebody close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. BetMGM operates pursuant to an operating agreement with iGaming Ontario. Guys, another guy that's going to nibble his way into the playoffs, and it seems to actually maybe be working, is Kyle Dubas. The Pittsburgh Penguins.
Buddy, I told you.
Last 10, they're 7-2-1.
I told you.
They're fourth in the division. They're ahead of the Flyers and Rangers. Although I have to be honest with you, the Rangers need to be looking at themselves and going, we let Pittsburgh pass us? Are you kidding?
Dude, there's a few teams that were really struggling a month ago that are just so friggin' hot. The Pens and the Sens.
Tomasino worked out pretty well, then got injured, but he seems like a good little move. Again, from the Nashville Predators.
Sure.
Then they get Pierre-Olivier Joseph back from the St. Louis Blues. He got to play 3 months with his brother in St. Louis. They took that picture at the steakhouse before they left. And according to Julian McKenzie, they'd actually been taking Heritage game pictures together. because they were going to play in the Heritage Classic together. And,
they got Lyles.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they got Lyles.
Yeah.
John Michael Lyles famously took warm-up at the Winter Classic and then was traded.
And gratefully for my fantasy team, Erik Karlsson seems to have decided, you know what? I feel like it now.
It's Erik Karlsson. It's Erik Karlsson. Like, the theme in recent years is we keep looking at these old guys and going, well, that's it. The sun is set.
Right.
And then they just roar back. One thing I kind of like about scoring going up league-wide in recent years is it's prolonged some careers, eh?
Yes.
Like, the harder games where it's harder to score make it harder to stay in the league. I think you probably get injured a little bit more. They're a little more tiring, a little more fatigue there. But the guys who can shoot, the guys who have vision, the guys who know how to play hockey, they're smart hockey players, even if their body's failing them a bit. They succeed in an NHL like this. Always bet on Erik Karlsson until he gives you, I'm going to go with a full season worth of reason to not believe in him.
Okay. And when, Jesse, when you look at the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Matt Grzelcyk effect specifically, I'm talking about because I love Matt Grzelcyk's power play stats versus not power play stats. He's driving them nuts. When you look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, do you believe? Because I asked you guys last episode. Okay, if the New York teams are going to turn it around, who's going to do it? You both said New York Rangers. If the Rangers turn this around, can the Penguins hold them off?
Oh man.
Because we're talking about fourth in the division. Jesse, you think it can happen?
I think I don't think the battle's between New York and the Penguins. I think in that wild card spot there, it's definitely the Sens and the Pens. I think the Rangers eventually get ahead of these teams, and it'll be the Pens and the Sens there for the wild cards.
My only reservation with the Sens is like, okay, Allmark's friggin' unreal, but they've squeaked into a playoff spot, and it's by going undefeated. Like, Allmark is, I believe, 7-0. Well, I mean, teams lose sometimes, man.
They do.
Like, you can't, if the plan is friggin' Shoresy, we will never lose again. Like, I just don't think that's how it works. You never know. Maybe they will never lose again. I'm just going to bet against it on account of teams lose in this league. It's tight, though. It's interesting. And it's better to have a race forward than backward, which is what we had in the East. It was like a concoction of 6 teams who just didn't want to be in the playoffs. Like, they were doing everything they could do to just go hot potato. You take the spot. No, you take the spot. Now there's actually teams fighting for it, and it makes the bottom of the Eastern Conference playoff picture compelling.
Now we just got news, guys. First, I want to ask you: do you remember the segment on Wednesday when we talked about the Leafs back-to-back? Who do you start which game? Hildeby or Wool against Buffalo, and then obviously the next night against the Islanders. I believe you both said Hildeby against Buffalo.
Well, because at the time we were told Murray was still hurt.
Yeah. Matt Murray had that little injury, and then he came back and he played really well against the Marlies game. He got a shutout, I think it was.
27 save shutout.
Yeah, shutout, and then now he's going to start tonight, right?
628 days since his last NHL start, he has been recalled officially.
Good for him, man.
So what do we talk about when we talk about a story like this? This is a guy that's won a couple Stanley Cups and then a bunch of injuries.
This is, first of all, huge kudos to the Leafs, because this is exactly what they wanted. This is a great situation. You have 2 good goalies in the NHL. You have an experienced third stringer and 2 pretty promising guys down in the minors.
Yep.
Oh, one of your 2 NHL guys gets hurt. Well, that's what you got the experienced third stringer for. But, he was hurt. Well, now you got to call up one of the kids. Oh, the third stringer is healthy again? You bring him up, you send the kids down, you let them play as much as they want. Play to your heart's content in the minors while the grown-ups sort things out in the NHL. The Leafs are getting exactly what they wanted. I believe they gave Murray the bonuses so he wouldn't get claimed on waivers. They're getting exactly what they wanted. It's fantastic. Now, Murray, I think we got to drop the cups conversation. It's on his resume in the same way that the Toronto Zoo's on mine. Don't ask me to do the tour today. I don't remember it. I'm very rusty, and I'm not going to get it back quickly if you throw me back in there. Murray is so many career-changing injuries away from that experience. What matters is his journey with the Leafs, his journey back from, what was it, hip?
Yep.
His journey back from, all these injuries that are interconnected, his improving, not just good, but improving play in the American Hockey League. That's his story right now. He's getting this call because he's kind of earned it. He's earned it. He deserves it. There's good reason to bet on Murray, and it's got nothing to do with his cups. Like CJ always points out, Murray was actually like a pretty adequate Leaf. He had some games where he exploded.
Yep.
He had some games where he was really, really good. And all in all, his numbers added up to league average. He was okay. If you get league average goaltending out of a third stringer, that's a victory. That's really good. So if the Leafs are part of his recovery, great, because there's something in it for both of them.
Okay. Jesse, what kind of a game do you expect from Matt Murray tonight?
I'm excited to see him play. Like I don't know if any of us know what to expect from him. He hasn't played since 2023. Like what do you know? It's the AHL is so much different than the NHL.
Yes.
Like we see like, okay, they're the in-betweeners, the guys who might be able to make the league and all that stuff, but when you go down there, it's a whole different environment. It's not, the competition isn't the same. So I'm excited to see him face NHL shots, and it was a great bet for them to make that, hey, maybe if it's a no-lose situation, either we get him a spectacular Marlies goalie and he sticks down there and he plays well, but we can't use him at the NHL level, or if a situation like this arises and he gets called up and he plays well, then like, look at us, found money, found player, so it's win-win for the Leafs. I think against this team too in Buffalo, it's the perfect opportunity to get your mojo going, because I don't think Buffalo is going to be very dangerous. So I think it's a perfect game for him.
It's really low-key a weird game too. Like it's a weird game to play your first NHL game in over 600 days, because it's on the road against a team that has lost, is it 10 or 11 straight?
Winless streak is 11.
Winless streak, is 11. So there's a weird juju going on down there. And also half the fans are going to be home fans.
Yeah.
CJ, I was CJ or Julian made a great point. Like if you're a Sabres fan, there has never been, if you're a Sabres fan with tickets, there has never been a greater slam dunk sell your tickets game than this one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The team sucks. They stink. And you get the Leafs, who are doing well, coming to town. It's right before Christmas as well. Everyone's in a jovial spirit. People are looking for gifts. Hey, I got you something. I know it's a little early, but I don't schedule the games. Like, there has never been a greater time, a greater date for Buffalo Sabres fans to sell their tickets and rip off Leaf fans. There's never been a better time for it. Sell. It shouldn't be 50-50 in there tonight.
Right.
It should be 75-25 at max in favor of the Leafs.
So, I like that. So
what Sabres fan should be at that game tonight? Why would you go? Why?
I mean, you could see the first win in 12 games.
Don't you? What do you hate money? What do you? You just want to be broke, I guess. Rip some Leafs fan off for $250 and have a Merry Christmas.
And what the story will be tomorrow is Leaf fans took over, Sabres fans weren't there, and that's Kevin Adams' fault. If I'm Kevin Adams, I hate that. Because it feels like not a home game.
Or how about the Sabres turn it around in front of a building full of Leaf fans right before Christmas?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Sell your damn ticket. Do not go to the game tonight.
Right. Okay.
Hey, we wish you a merry 3 Bills. We wish you a buddy. Two tickets for tonight's game? 300? Maybe 300 Canadian. I don't know about 300 American. Come on, man.
The Boston Bruins placed Tyler Johnson on unconditional waivers for contract termination. So both sides are agreeing that they're walking away. And this is the same Tyler Johnson who, and this guy kind of came out of nowhere and once had 23 points in 26 playoff games for the Tampa Bay Lightning when they lost in the finals.
He was so good.
Triplets. Yeah.
Him, Palat, and Kucherov.
And then there were injuries. And in the playoffs, when Tampa won their 2 cups in 1920 and 2021, he both times was more of a role player, right? He wasn't the guy he was 5 years previous, but 5 years is a long time in the NHL.
Name still in the cup.
He's 5'8", he's 34. His point production is going down.
He got the same neck surgery as Jack Eichel.
Wow.
A lot of people forget that.
And, I wonder if somebody takes a flyer on this guy and just gives it a shot.
So
free centerman with experience.
I was confused. So he's either retiring, which I don't know. I don't think he is.
No, I think he's going to play again.
So,
or he's going to want to.
Why not? So, okay, he's going on waivers, but it's for the purpose of a contract buyout. Mm-hmm. Is that to try to prevent, like if you just put him on regular waivers, I assume a team claims him, right?
I don't think
he's
so.
on waivers. Like they had the
him.
opportunity to claim him. He was put on waivers, and then if he gets through waivers, they're going to terminate his contract
mutually.
So they're letting him go so that he doesn't get sent down to Providence and he's stuck down there.
Oh, that's why. So I'm not going to the minors.
Well, they don't want him. Like, what's the point? They don't need him.
Yeah. What do you need a 34-year-old?
Yeah.
Because I was trying to figure out. I'm like, wait a second, it's Tyler Johnson though. Like he's not that bad. Like what's?
Yeah, he got squeezed out of the lineup. Like he's not useful to the Bruins right now.
Yeah,
but he could definitely play in the league.
I don't know. I don't know if he has a spot in the league. That's the thing. He wasn't able to stick in the Bruins lineup, so they said, we don't need you anymore. And he said, okay, I'm just going to go my way instead of going down the AHL. So we'll see if one of the other 31 teams thinks he's good enough for another shot.
I think,
but he struggled to get a job this summer. Like he didn't sign anywhere for a reason. The Bruins gave him a shot. Then he got squeezed out of the lineup. He got squeezed out of the power play. Like he wasn't effective for the Bruins at all. And then now they're like, okay, we don't need you. You're old. We're not going to send you down.
Yep.
Go play somewhere wherever you want. We're done.
Here's what's tricky to figure out. When a team struggles to find a contract, it's not necessarily that 32 teams didn't want him or 31 teams didn't want him. There's a little bit of he didn't want them going on. Sometimes. I'm not saying this is the case with Tyler Johnson, but it's like, oh man, no one wants me. And then like the Sabres go, we want you. And oh man, no one wants me. Like, you just kind of ignore them, right? But like maybe at this point, December's not June. It's not July. It's a different month entirely for a lot of reasons. So maybe he'd be willing to...
I think he'd be willing to entertain anything.
He'd be willing to entertain a situation today that he wasn't willing to entertain in the summer is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if you remember, like, he joined the Bruins with the PTO.
Yep.
And it seems like Oliver Wahlstrom, like his emergence with the Bruins is the reason, kind of is like last straw of the lineup where it's like, okay, we really don't need you. So, yeah, I don't know if he's going to land anywhere. If it got to the point where he needed a PTO and then he gets on the PTO team and they don't need him by December. Maybe somebody takes a chance based on injuries come the January, but we'll see.
If this is it, and I hope it's not, but if this is it, what a crazy career. First of all, championship with the Spokane Chiefs in the WHL, championship with the Norfolk Admirals in the AHL, 2 cups with Tampa, 747 games, 433 points, and 116 Stanley Cup playoff games, 65 career Stanley Cup playoff points. He has playoff runs of 26, 17, 17, 25, and 23 games. What a player, man. For an undrafted guy. An undrafted 5'8", 191-pound guy.
Great career.
Unreal career. Never scored 30 goals, which I'm shocked by. He scored 29 twice, which is just not fair. And during that cup run in 2015 where they fell short to Chicago, 13 goals in 26 games, 23 points. He was unbelievable.
JJ Moser, speaking of the Tampa Bay Lightning, JJ Moser will be out 8 to 10 weeks. He's currently tied for second with Nick Perbix for Lightning defensive scoring.
I told you. He was part of that Sergachev trade, and I said, listen, this is a good player.
He is, and he's done well, and that creates a hole for the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have the best goal differential in the Atlantic Division, which is kind of wild.
Oh wait.
Yeah, and what's weird is that they're not ahead of the Bruins.
No, but they're hot on their heels.
They are. Well, actually, sorry, they are now ahead of the Bruins because they're tied with them, but the Bruins have played 4 more games. But they have the same amount of actual.
The Lightning are a big reason why. Well, I don't want to ruin our Christmas episodes. Sometimes I forget people haven't heard those yet. It's just the people in this room. The Lightning are good. I'll leave it there.
It's interesting because the Lightning and Bruins have a 4-game gap, which admittedly is a lot of points on the table, but they're 3rd and 4th in the division in points percentage. The Lightning have a plus 34 goal differential. The Bruins have a minus 19.
Wow. Well, yeah, and the Bruins were bad enough to fire their coach.
Yeah. I mean, the Bruins' goal differential is worse than Detroit. It's worse than Buffalo.
Andrei Vasilevsky, 15-9-1 with a 9-13. Uh-oh. I think I got my swagger back. Uh-oh. Jonas Johansson, by the way, 8-82, which is brutal. He's still 3-1-1. Go away. They won't go away. Ever.
And so we got through the trade.
The whole division won't go away. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, no, they just won't.
Knock it off, all of you.
As Jesse always says, this early in the season, don't pay too much attention to the standings because people fall off. Those gaps, those 4-point gaps become 6 and 8-point gaps, and then it becomes insurmountable.
Yeah, the teams at the bottom now they're like, we've reached enough time this season where the bottom feeders, you're kind of too far out.
Yeah,
I don't expect a magical run out of those teams that are pretty low in the East and the West. But if you're within a couple points of the playoffs, we can still. There's a lot of maneuvering there.
Yes,
a lot of time to play out.
You what is it? Once every 3 years, maybe, can go on a literal miracle run. Mm-hmm. Hamburglar, friggin' the Bon Jovi run last year, the St. Louis Blues in 2019. Odds are it's not you.
Yeah.
If you're looking at your team going, why not us? I hope that question was rhetorical because there's actually an abundance of reasons why not you.
We're getting pretty close to writing off Nashville.
Well,
yeah. Where it's just okay, we got to retool for next year kind of situation.
Yeah. The Sabres are bad. You know who's got less points? Nashville.
Mm-hmm. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Sabres last in the East. Nashville last in the West.
The Sharks, of which Steve is a truther, have 2 more points than Nashville.
Hell yeah. Got a little bit of truth in you.
And I would love to see the Preds buy. And I am not going to be the one this year that say the Preds are going to stay near the bottom. I will not do it. I did that last year. That was a mistake. They ate my lunch, bullied me, stuffed me into a locker.
You should have.
I don't know what their U2 hinge point moment is going to be, but I refuse to bet against them, which is probably why they'll finish last. Right. Because it's always a jinx, right?
If you look at the Western Conference and you say, okay, we expect from this point onwards, Nashville is going to make the playoffs. That means you're expecting the Colorado Avalanche, the Vancouver Canucks, the Edmonton Oilers, the Dallas Stars, the Minnesota Wild, one of those teams in the playoffs right now to have a huge drop-off.
Yes.
And I don't expect that. So it's not very likely that a team like Nashville can climb their way back in the playoffs at this point. Even though it's still kind of early, it's just way too late if you've been this terrible for 3 months now.
Adam, you're a real cultured guy.
That's me. Cultured Adam.
Do you know the word sonning?
Sonning?
Sonning.
No. Signing?
SANNING.
No. What is that?
It's the Swedish word for truth.
Give us the truth.
I
Give us the Swedish
I
truth.
just want to give a shout out to Sweden's team, the San Jose Sharks. Their top 3 forwards in scoring: Michael Granlund, William Eklund, and Fabian Zetterlund. They all end with Lund. And they are the biggest proponents of truth that I've ever seen. Also, Jake Wallman, who's Swedish until you look up where he's from.
Right. I like that.
I just assumed he was Swedish until I found out where he was from.
There's nothing better than having your behind cupped by a pair of pants that were made well and they breathe well too. And by the way, made from plant-based fibers and recycled materials where possible.
That was good.
Right?
Is that the end of it?
No. Oh, we should mention who makes them.
Oh, yeah.
I want to put you in the right direction.
And the promo code.
Not to be confused with Connor.
Doer. But it's spelled D-U-E-R, right? And here's the deal. Doer's got flagship stores all across Canada and the United States. So you can just walk in and slip them on.
You
the
can
pants. You can
do
just
what?
slip and slide them on.
Nice.
You just put them
Comfortable.
over your bum.
But they are stretchable, and you know, especially for people that played hockey like us, they got thick hockey legs.
That's why my legs are thick for sure.
That's right. You can check out, again, Doer's flagship stores, or you can just go online at shopdoer.com/SDP. Jesse can attest, it's more than just pantaloons.
Yeah, they have like clothes too. They got nice toques. They have I own the green flannel that they sell. They got a nice jean jacket in there. Lots of stuff Doer's got.
Right
Men's
now,
and women's clothes, by the way.
Right now, listeners get 20% off their first purchase with our exclusive URL, shopdoer, DUER.com/SDP. Such a great deal. Again, right before the holidays, 20% off, shopdoer.com/SDP. I want to ask you guys about the bubbling situation in Vancouver. Vancouver, who have had a pretty good start, I would say. They're 4th in the division, but, you know, it's not like they're out of it. Everybody else has 32 games played. They're the 4th of 4. I would have figured that they would be higher than that. The LA Kings have surprised a lot of people this year with how strong they've been. But there is... first off, the goal differential is exactly 0, which is hilarious. They've scored as many goals as they've allowed.
Amazing.
They've had good goaltending from Kevin Lankinen. Thatcher Demko is back. You would expect things to be looking a little bit better, but the seeming problem is that JT Miller coming back presents a problem with Elias Pettersson. And Bruce Boudreau was speaking on TSN yesterday and talked about the fact that he was aware of that situation when he became the head coach there. And he said,
so that's quite some time.
And he said the only thing he really said is that it's A, on the coach to figure it out. B, he thought it would be smoothed over by the time he got there, and clearly 2 years later it's still not smoothed over. How long can you have? Because back before in the long time ago, it was Bo Horvat versus JT Miller. Right? Remember? And they go...
And Luke Shen versus JT Miller.
And JT Miller was almost traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins at the deadline. The Penguins just could not make the salary cap work. That almost happened. And then Vancouver keeps him. They trade Horvat the next year. And, they went on a great playoff run last year. They could still this year. I'm curious as to how long you can have two guys. I don't know what the issue is between the two of them.
I don't know either.
I don't know that that's
friction.
ever been reported, but they seem to just be like oil and water. How much longer can your two better players deal with that? And who's, at a certain point, it becomes, other than Quinn Hughes, whose team is this?
Adam Wild, asking the right questions. Ooh, because, it's on the coach. It's on your captain, too. Mm-hmm. That's a young captain. Mm-hmm. That's a tricky one. Like, I remember being in St. Louis just prior to COVID. I was at the All-Star game. And it was funny seeing the difference between sophomore Elias Pettersson and rookie Quinn Hughes, because they were both there. Mm-hmm. Rookie Quinn Hughes was asked, I think it was like, who's the strangest guy on the team or something like that. It was like one of those questions, giving you an opportunity to make fun of one of your teammates. And Quinn Hughes goes, I don't know. They're all a bunch of good guys. He's a bashful little kid. Elias Pettersson walks in the room. I go, who's your strangest teammate? He goes, Quinn Hughes. Like, it's weird to me that Quinn Hughes is younger than both those guys.
Yep.
Right? they were magic when they were united on the penalty kill. Like when they were first united on the penalty kill, it was like having a power play. It was insane. And I guess what I would suggest to Rick Tocchet is next time they play, you put them in a quadruple XL jersey and you call them Get Along Of or something. And it's their Get Along jersey. If you're going to, like, what are you going to do? Win a JT Miller trade? What are you going to do? Win an Elias Pettersson trade?
You're not.
All right. So you got, like, I'm forcing them to have Christmas together. I'm forcing them to, like, I don't know, they play on the same line. I make it so that they do not play NHL minutes unless it's with each other. What do you do? What do you do? You're not, I don't understand how, whatever they have between them, I don't understand how they don't see the opportunity in front of them. Mm-hmm. Whether it's Elias, whether it's JT, your opportunity to win a Stanley Cup is with each other. You could have done it last year.
Yep.
You really could have done it last year. If I keep saying, if Brock Besser played Game 7 against the Oilers.
Yeah, yep, 100%. That series, people forget how close that series was.
As unstoppable as the Oilers looked at times, boy, that was winnable. That was winnable. And like the worst, he was so friggin' hot, and it was brutal for them. Your opportunity for success in this league is with each other. You got to figure it out.
Elias Pettersson had 89 points last year. JT Miller had 103. This year in 32, Pettersson's got 26. JT Miller in 22, because he's missed obviously about 10, 15 games. He's got 19 points. So both of them are trailing their point per game totals last year.
Still good players.
Still good players. Still kind of have to make it work, right? You can't, like, if you're going to make a move like that, if you do decide to make that move, it has to be off season, right? And you have to be confident of signing somebody else or doing a 1-for-1 with another really expensive, high-priced player.
You know who used to be a Ranger? JT Miller.
Well, what are you getting back?
Let's cook with gas.
New York's got enough to send back the other way. It's an interesting proposal to send out JT Miller, because it appears like he's been a large common denominator in the interactions that have been very testy in that locker room. Like, the locker room wasn't great under Jim Benning. It seems like people got away with whatever they wanted to do. And then we have JT Miller screaming at Luke Schenn on the ice in the middle of a game, just casually. Then
Connor Garland getting between them, which for some reason always makes me laugh.
Then we have like rumors of something going on with him and Horvat, and then Horvat's obviously traded. And then we have earlier this season during a practice, I was looking at some of this GT Miller stuff coming out, and I was reminded that this happened. Like, him and Pettersson got into a little bit of a shoving match, and he cross-checked him during practice. And then he takes his leave of absence. I don't know what the reason for that leave of absence is. And then he comes back, and then we get all these rumors. So I'm not putting blame on any situation here, but on anyone in this situation, but it definitely seems like JT Miller he runs hot. Whether it's because he wants to win really badly, and because that's his way of motivating the guys, or if that's just how he is day to day. I don't know the man. But they need to fix whatever's going on here, because these things are good for a locker room when you're winning. If that's working the way he's trying to motivate people, then awesome. Cross-check everybody at practice if it leads to a win. But right now, you're getting a poor performance against Vegas, who you're looking at as this is our competition, who we need to get through if we want to do anything in the Western Conference here in the playoffs. And you're getting poor performances there. And like, Pete is getting taken off PP1, and they can't even be on the same ice together.
Like, that's not okay.
Well,
it's
and how long
stuff.
can that last, though, right?
It's
That's
crazy stuff.
So, here, Elliot Friedman made a very interesting point about when JT Miller came back. It's amazing how quickly the narrative's changed, because when he came back, it was like, oh, isn't that great? It's so good that he's back. And now we're right back to, there's problems.
Well, it's not like they would go away.
But the point Elliot made is JT is like, you have like a team's spiritual leader. Mm-hmm. You have a team's like, on ice leader. They're the best hockey player or whatever. And then you have like an emotional leader. and he's their emotional leader. And I can't imagine it's good for your team when the dude who gets your team the most pumped up hates probably your best player. Well, okay, Quinn Hughes is alive. Best forward, the guy who has the potential to be your best forward, in Elias Pettersson. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It can't happen.
This feels like a Winnipeg
in front of them is to win together.
This feels like a Winnipeg Scheifele Wheeler situation, except that Scheifele and Wheeler liked each other. Just nobody liked them. and that this is so it's interesting, right? Like I do think.
And where did Wheeler go?
New York.
New York.
Yeah.
How does James Dolan not look at JT Miller and go, "Hey, that's me on skates"?
Well,
you're kind of out there. All right, let's party.
Here are the common denominator. Obviously, it was Horvat versus Miller, and then it was playing defense versus Miller, and then it was the Vancouver media versus Miller, and now it's Pettersson versus Miller, and this has been going on for 2 years. Some people are just prickly. And just like coaches, some players wear out their welcome. And I wonder if JT Miller and the Vancouver Canucks are both coming to the same conclusion of, I don't know how this ends, but it kind of needs to. And I don't know how much longer. Maybe they can put it aside for the playoffs and deal with it in the summer.
Yeah.
But they better start performing and showing that they can. Otherwise, what's Jim Rutherford going to do?
It becomes here we go again very quickly.
Yeah. And they're too good to be not playing that
They're
well.
both unbelievable players.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
What did you have on the screen there, Jesse?
Nothing.
Oh, I wanted.
I had Oliver Wahlstrom waiver claims.
Oh, never mind. I don't have my glasses on. I thought you had a Canucks tweet.
No. Oliver was just looking at when
Maybe they should get him.
When Boston took Wahlstrom and he played that game.
So you're suggesting
was it last night against
the
Edmonton?
Canucks do Miller for Wahlstrom?
Yes, I think
Got it.
1-for-1 Wahlstrom to the Bruins, or Wahlstrom from the Bruins to the Canucks, and they make a little move there.
I think there are dumber phone calls you can make than Vancouver to New York and New York to Vancouver.
You honestly might be onto something.
I think you are.
DJ Zbad hooking up with his Team Sweden teammate. There we go.
I think JT Miller might be what they need in New York.
You know, the great thing about best on best tournaments, like I again, there was another Christmas episode that's not up yet, but I talked about the value of playing with exclusively the best players in the world. That's going to bring to teams. You know what else? All these guys are going to play together, and I wonder if it adds an extra push to, hey, this guy's great.
Yeah.
This guy's, and not just he's great, he makes me better. Mm-hmm. This guy's magic.
Right.
What if, like, Zibanejad, I assume, is on Team Sweden.
Yes, of course.
And Pettersson, I assume, is on Team Sweden.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What if there's magic there? What if, I'm trying to think, are there American players on the Rangers? Mm-hmm. Isn't Trocheck? Trocheck and Kreider.
Yeah, there are.
I don't know. Might be something there.
I'm trying to go through the Rolodex in my mind of the last couple trades where it was not trading for hockey reasons, but trading just because this guy can't be here reasons. Evander Kane, obviously.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest one. Corey Perry with the contract termination is just you couldn't be here because of everything that involved with the Corey Perry situation. But that's a little different.
Yeah. Oh, it's a lot different. Yeah.
It's you can't be here, so we can't have you on the team for not because we don't think you could have been useful on the ice. I think there's parallels there.
Kane in Winnipeg's a good one.
Yeah, Kane for sure. And I don't even know, like Kane in San Jose too, like when they terminated his contract. But that's also like the Corey Perry situation. Nazem Kadri in Toronto was definitely, we want Kadri, but you are detrimental to this organization because you keep getting suspended.
Yeah.
And there was off-ice issues where he got yelled at by Lou Lamoriello. as well, privately.
Yeah. Early career Nazem Kadri was a problem.
And I think that accumulated to a point where it was, you can't be here anymore and we need to move you. Even though, like, Kadri would have been great for the Leafs if he could have solved all that stuff. So
won a cup.
It's not very common, I guess, in the NHL. It's but rare. The JT Miller situation might come to a head where it's just like, we don't need your personality here anymore. We got to move you. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you got any in your mind, Steve. You're better at this stuff.
Does he own a tracksuit?
Miller?
Because I have a way to solve this real fast.
Can you think of any?
Maybe he's the first guy to yell back at James Dolan when he gets to New York.
Yeah, and James would be like, captain.
I respect that. Yeah.
I respect that.
There's probably been a couple too that we just don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Probably not even a couple, like a lot.
Yeah.
I heard. I won't mention teams.
Careful what you heard, because you might get.
No, this is okay. Here, I'll give you a free one. It doesn't involve the Rangers, but there was a move years and years ago where the team went to a very high-profile player on their team, and they said, "What do you think about this guy? Because we're thinking about getting him at the deadline." And the player said, "Do not get him. I've played with him. Bad guy." The next day, the team traded for him anyway.
Oh, wow.
And they did it anyway, and they played well together. They found a way. So that's the opposite. Mm-hmm. That's a team going, hey, you guys hate each other. All right, come on board. And they actually had some success together, which I still think the most logical solution here is they just figure it out. But
they've been just figuring it out for 2 years.
But I honestly think they need to be adults about this eventually. And you don't have to like all your coworkers that you work with. And that's really what Pettersson and Miller are. There's two people who work together, and they need to figure out a way to be cordial together.
To be honest, though, Miller seems to be like a guy he's such a fabulously talented player.
He's unreal.
But then there are times where he's like, I just don't feel like it. And he accuses other guys of that. And I think that's probably what gets on people's nerves, is that I have seen JT Miller play great defense, and I saw it in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
I've also seen JT Miller straighten his way into a defensive zone coverage.
He's a few years removed from the worst. From the worst of it.
For the worst of it, agreed.
Dude, Canadian division JT Miller was appointment viewing.
Yeah.
He was one of the most mystifying hockey players I've ever watched.
He was Evan Bouchard, but a forward.
You know what? That's not bad.
I just don't give a shit about what happens behind me. Like, I just don't care.
Yeah.
I think
that's not bad.
I think, Jesse, you bring up a really good point. Yelling at a guy on your team on the ice it's like I get every once in a while you're going to lose your cool and you guys are going to yell and bark and whatever, and it's an intense game, whatever. This is one of those things where at a certain point you risk rangering yourself.
You said every once in a while. With JT Miller, it's not every once in a while.
Seasonally.
Yeah.
Last year was the only season that I think was event-free for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. To me, this logically is something you take care of in the offseason if it doesn't repair itself.
Agreed.
But Jim Rutherford and Patrick Alvin have both been characterized as like aggressive. Mm-hmm. Like
And they are apparently out there now, aggressive.
They get after it. Well, and they were pretty damn aggressive last year, right? They got Zadorov ahead of time. They got Lindholm.
Then tried to trade Lindholm.
And then tried to trade Lindholm. Like
Boston Bruins should have taken a flyer on that.
This could bubble over, and I'm looking at right after the Four Nation face-off. Because there's going to be about a month, maybe less, between the Four Nation face-off and the trade deadline.
There you go. I'm gonna turn us to the press conference in a second if I can. Mm-hmm. But I there's a couple of things I'd like to say, if that's okay. First thing is Erica Howe, who's an alumni of the Toronto Scepters, also played in the CWHL with the Markham and Brampton Thunder, was diagnosed with breast cancer over the summer. She's currently fundraising for the Canadian Cancer Society. And the organization reached out and said, hey, can you guys spotlight this? And we said, of course. The goal is $27,000 because her PWHL number is 27, which she wore to honor her father, who passed away when she was young with brain cancer. So The fundraising goal obviously is very important. They've raised, as you can see on the screen there, as of this recording, $22,000, and we're going to put this in the description of the episode. You can, whether you're listening or you're watching, it will be in the description so that you can help Erica Howe fight cancer. And obviously, a very young woman, for her to be going through this, we just want to send our very, very best to Erica Howe, who's made huge contributions to what is now the PWHL, popular person. And obviously, the team in the hockey community in the PWHL and the wider world are behind her. So I wanted to say that. The second thing I wanted to do is, if you guys don't mind, is there is a memorial service happening right now for somebody named Jim Waters. Jim Waters, it was the owner of the Erie Otters for I think the last 10 to 15 years. He died suddenly this past weekend, 73 years old. Dylan Strome was tweeting about it. Remember that, some great players rolled through there, including Connor McDavid. Jim was known as the kind of guy who was a really great sort of family man, wanted to create a great environment at work. And I can attest to that because I worked for him. And so did my mom. He was, along with the Waters family, owners of Chum Limited, which included, I think it was 40 or 50 radio stations across the country. They created Much Music. They created City TV. So they had a a media company that when Alan Waters, the founder, died, they sold off for over $1 billion. But, it's funny with those guys, you'd never know that they were rich. Jim used to come into the studio, and especially when I was learning how to operate a radio board, he'd tell me stories about how he completely screwed up the radio board when he was my age, and they actually used to have to put records on. Jim was also very aware that I loved hockey, so a couple of times when I was a teenager, he made sure that my mom knew that he was going to be in their family seats for the game, and that we should come with them. And he used to sit there and talk hockey with me all night. And this is a guy that loved hockey, loved the Erie Otters, and so I just wanted to say a little shout out to him. I can't be at the memorial today, but he was a fantastic owner, and Canadian broadcasting was never the same after the Waters left. It became pretty corporate and pretty cold very quickly. Those guys created an incredible environment, and I just thought he deserved a quick shout out.
Very well said, Adam.
Thank you.
Can I give a quick one as well?
Yeah, please.
I got to meet someone named Dylan Foster yesterday in Walkerton, Ontario. He's going through a hard time right now. He's battling stage 4. But when I met him and I got the opportunity to go into his home and meet his family, we had a great time. Like it was so light. We talked about hockey. His dad repeatedly said he doesn't know how I haven't just exploded from turning purple on camera many times. And it was great to hang out with them yesterday. So shout out Dylan.
Awesome. Let's do the press conference.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
Well,
Yep.
All right. So we got a couple questions here.
Oh boy.
And I want to know which direction you guys want to go in. Would you rather talk about Max, Bobby, Lil Nicky,
Okay.
or JT, or 3C? Which one do you want? Which one interests you the most?
Max, Bobby, Lil Nicky, I think.
All right.
Me.
I don't know what 3C is.
The third line center that the Leafs are going
3C, like third line center.
that they're trading for, that we've
that
told you that
they're-
they've been trading for.
Okay.
Got it.
So let's go. Adam said Max, Bobby, Lil Nicky. So Benito on Twitter said, can we keep Max, Bobby, Lil Nicky, Bobby together for a minute?
Yep.
What are your guys' thoughts on that line? They were unbelievable the other night, scoring a couple goals against Dallas.
nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple nights in a row now. What do you guys think?
5 goals in 6 periods. Yeah, I think you keep them together.
Yeah.
And also, the rosters are frozen, so you don't have a choice.
Listen, do I think that's going to be the third line when the playoffs start? No.
Is it an option if someone gets injured, though, in the playoffs?
Yeah. It is December. There are so many damn games left. There's like 50 games left. That's still so many games.
Yep.
They're getting you. They've gotten you through the last 2. Can you get us through 3? Can you get us through 4? Can you get us through another 20? Is this their best option going forward? No, it's their best option right now. So I keep them together. And can I just say, like, yeah, Max Domi finally got his first couple goals. Finally, Nick Robertson catches a break.
Yeah. But you know
Finally.
what's been great about Robertson and Domi is the way they've scored goals together is the way that they score goals, right? There's a little bit more speed to it. I think when you look at the Dallas game specifically, when Domi got his second goal, Robertson is in the perfect position at the net to receive a pass, even though he's sort of tied up. And it allows just that split second of Jake Ottinger not knowing which way to go. And that is why I said at the beginning of the season, this guy can score 20 goals, 25 goals. Why not?
And McMahon is the perfect line mate for them. Absolutely perfect. He's fast enough to help you get out of defensive binds. He can shoot the lights out. Like Robertson had such a dogged effort on that goal that McMahon scored. And like that shouldn't be a scoring chance for most players. But he's got a laser beam. He's perfect. Perfect. I love that line right now.
Jesse, any thoughts?
Oh yeah, I'm surprised at how well Nick Robertson's been playing lately, to be honest. I don't think at all this is the lineup that will start the playoffs, but it is nice for right now. I'm not going to complain about the Leafs winning and playing a good style of hockey. Like I feel like they're playing well, and they're playing in a style that is sustainable and is going to be successful in a little bit of a playoff run. But I don't think these three will be together come game 1.
No.
A lot of teams don't have anything that's working right now. So
Yeah.
I'll take what's working right now.
And listen, the
I guess
nothing
You can say that about anything. I don't know if that means anything.
nothing depth wise was working for the Leafs. I'll take it. I'll take it, man.
I'll take it.
Absolutely.
I will take it.
But yes, they need to trade for a third line center, which is the next question, right, Jesse?
Oh no, you had to pick one of those three.
We can't
to
talk
go
about
in.
it.
Yeah,
We'll talk
no,
about
that was the Leafs. Pick one of those Leafs questions.
I have no opinions on their third line center or John Tavares.
No. Because he's the second line center. That's right. Jesse, do we have any other questions?
Yeah, this one comes from Zachary. If you could give a cup to one retired player who didn't win one, who would it be? Zach says, mine is Iggy.
Because he got robbed of one.
Good. Yeah, he did get robbed in one. Very good pick. I think there's a very obvious answer here. Matt Sundin.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot.
Sundin. It's his book, again, I'll talk about it. God, it's what's missing. It's what's missing from his story. It's so not fair. And if you go and look at his playoff run with the Canucks, he was good.
Yep.
He could have kept playing. He really could have. That's very annoying. It's very annoying.
Adam, who's your pick?
I'm trying to think here of the Marcel Dion, who's like still top 10.
My answer.
Sorry, he's
That's
still
all right.
top 10 in scoring. Didn't get a cup because the Kings were run by a Canadian guy who was kind of a gigantic asshole. Sold both the Lakers and the Kings, I believe, to the Bus family at the beginning of the 80s because he was going through a divorce.
Inventors of the bus.
And yeah, no, that's not how they made their money. But I think a team that had he not been the Scrooge of the West, and he was in terms of what they spent, the LA Kings should have won a cup sometime in the late 70s or early 80s. And I know Montreal was great, and I know the Islanders were great. I think Marcel Dion and that French Connection line was pretty crazy.
Marcel Dion, I think, is easily the greatest NHL player ever to never win the Stanley Cup. So it would be nice for the history of the league and for that man's career to have that cup ring next to his resume.
Other good answers: Roberto Luongo, Henrik Lundqvist.
Luongo got one.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's not as a player, but
all right, Henrik Lundqvist.
Yeah.
Luongo, yeah,
that's a good
goal. Rangers, bring him back. This question comes from H4C. I am going to the Leafs game in Detroit on the 27th. I want the three of you to pick which jersey I wear to the game.
Oh, I like this.
I have 7 options.
Damn.
This comes from Discord, by the way. Marner home, Riley home, Nylander away, Wool Heritage Classic, dark blue with the white T, Tavares reverse retro, 1.0, the gray stripe one. It's an ugly jersey. We're not even going to consider that one.
Oh,
Matthews, you know the one?
Yeah,
The first, the gray ones, the reverse retro,
They
bad.
could have just done their retro jersey. Jesse.
Bad. Matthews Stadium Series, white jersey, white logo numbers, the II captain jerseys.
yep.
And then no player Bieber jersey.
Okay, well, that's off the board.
Why?
Because you have 6 player jerseys to pick from.
Fair. And I think because you're going to an away game, you should wear colors.
I agree.
My favorite
agree.
jersey that the Leafs have released in the last 20 years is the Stadium Series jersey, the white.
the
I
all
love
whites?
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one.
People
That's my
hated that. I don't know
favorite
why.
jersey.
Oh, so you're
But-
saying wear away colors.
But I wouldn't wear that one to this game in Detroit
Wear
because
home colors.
Yeah, you want to wear the blue.
Yeah.
You want to stand out.
So what are the home options again?
You got Marner and Riley, right?
Yeah, all you got is Marner home, Riley home. You could do Wool Heritage Classic.
But that's
which is-
too dark.
That's the dark blue with the
Yeah.
T, which isn't too bad. It's
It looks
still
black
right.
on TV though.
Does
It
it?
does. It does look a little black on
Yeah.
TV.
Okay.
I would go Marner home. Easy. Hey, who's the best player of the jerseys I have and home colors?
Marner, most career goals against Detroit. Pick Marner.
Ah, there you go. Okay. So we choose as a show for you H4C, or maybe your 4 is supposed to be an A. I don't know. Hassie. We choose Marner home. Listen to us. Hopefully you listen to this in time.
Marner
Yes.
home, my favorite Swedish player.
So at the end of last episode, we played
I thought it was Marner
It's
Lund.
very good. Please clap.
a little game called Who He Play For.
Oh, people got mad at this.
Why?
What's hockey good? I'm like, listen, man, I don't know what guys. play
The
that game.
point of the game is we're
Adam?
not going to get them all.
Yeah.
Where do you get it? You just go to angry comments
Yeah.
and then just stew about it.
I only read the good ones.
everything about everything.
It was a
I
question
only
from
read
the,
the
I thought people enjoyed that.
Nah,
What
they
the
do.
hell?
Most people do.
People like me. People exclusively like me.
And that night, I got a message. I forget who alerted me to the fact. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm going to bring this up. One of the players we talked about was Nolan Allen, who, do you remember who he plays for?
No.
I told you last episode that this man named Nolan Allen
Chicago.
It's a good
is
hockey
an
name.
NHL player,
Good hockey name.
and he does indeed play for Chicago.
Hey!
You know what position he plays for?
Odds are forward.
He's a defenseman.
Damn it.
21 years old, 26 career NHL games.
That's
And
pretty good for
Boss
21.
Mike 808 tweeted and said, Nolan Allen with his first career NHL goal, the who he play for bump is real.
This happened before.
Yes,
forget about Nolan
yes,
Allen.
this is not the first time this has happened.
Wasn't it it was a guy on the Oilers, I want to say. Dude, this is so Can we play again? I need to know who's going to score their first career NHL goal again. This is awesome. I love this game. Do you have guys prepared?
I can pull a couple from the list. I didn't finish Ben W on Discord's list.
Ben W, Pittsburgh Penguins. Next.
Victor Mancini.
Oh,
I could probably say some of the names from last episode, and you still wouldn't get
No,
it.
you're
like
totally
Nolan Allen and Adam.
Victor Mancini. I want to say there's more than one Mancini. Victor Mancini, if I'm not mistaken, I had on that bogus Team Italy roster.
Probably. Just gotta fucking guess.
No, I'm drawn to Utah, but I think that's Matthias Michelli drawing me that way. Victor Mancini of the St. Louis Blues.
Adam, who's your guess?
No, it was the Stars.
New York Ranger.
Oh, darn.
Has played 15 games
I'm glad
this
we were close.
season with the New York Rangers.
By the way, Philip Tomasino, Dante Fabro, Barry Trotz hates Italians.
All right.
Anti-Italian discrimination.
Another one.
Right.
Maybe we'll do a couple more. Ty Cartier.
That's an easy one, Seattle Kraken.
Hey, well done.
He's a good, decent player. Yeah.
Decent play, yeah.
Decent play.
What's his expected goals looking like?
So good.
Justin Dowling.
Oh, is he still on the Stars?
Adam, what's your guess?
Vancouver.
He's a New Jersey Devil.
Oh.
He did play for the Stars, though, didn't he?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he did.
You are free to check that. Last one. Let me figure out this team. I'm gonna do this real quick, and then we'll end on John Tortorella losing his mind.
So funny.
In the most appropriate situation ever to lose your mind, because NHL referees, what are you doing? What are you up to?
Justin Dowling was indeed a member of the Stars organization and played a few dozen games for them.
All right, 23 games in the NHL this season. He's got a goal and 5 assists.
Ooh.
24 years old, undrafted, defenseman, number 5. Igor Zamula plays for what team?
Philly.
Correct.
You
Well
seem
done.
confident, so I was going with him on that.
All right, John Tortorella.
Yes.
Last thing we'll do today.
Speaking of Philly.
John Tortorella. 2 nights ago, I believe the game was Wednesday night when this happened. I don't remember the name of the referee, but the referee in the Detroit-Philly game, middle of the third period,
5-4, 1-goal game.
1-goal game, puts up his arm briefly to call a penalty. It's very brief. It's not quick, but he had his arm in the air. Maddie, the screenshot's coming up right here. There you go. So as you can see on the screen, if you're watching, the referee is at center ice. He has his arm in the, I should say the linesman. The linesman is in the air, has his arm in the air to call a penalty.
And importantly, the linesman is directly in front of the Flyers bench.
Yep. And as his arm goes up, John Tortorella calls to Urson, who's in the net, and says, "Get to the bench. We need this man advantage. We need the 6-on-5. Get over here." And that's what he does. But the referee then begins to put down his arm, and the Flyers are screaming mad because they don't know what the hell's going on. So the referee puts down his arm. Urson has to go back into the net. This also leads to a chance the other way for Detroit. It's a 2-on-1 opportunity that thankfully doesn't go in the back of the net. So I want to go back to the 2-on-1. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, here we go. It doesn't start at the play. So we don't have that in the clip. But yeah, so Urson makes the save. The referees congregate at center ice and they say, "Okay, what happened there?" And he says, "Okay, I put up my arm accidentally. I didn't mean to call that penalty." And we called a penalty then on the Flyers for having too many men on the ice because they had a 6th man on the ice when they shouldn't have had a 6th man on the ice because they weren't going to have that power play advantage. They congregate. They decide no penalties on no one.
That is correct.
Yes.
But I didn't know you could take back minors.
They didn't call it.
They technically what they did is they just blew the play dead.
Yeah, they stopped play.
But you have to have a reason to blow the play dead.
no, you can stop play.
Just generally?
Yeah, you can stop play.
Ultimately, the right decision was made.
Yeah, but you
could
should hold
argue
on.
that there should
You
have
shouldn't
been
be
a-
able to just stop play. This is what I get
So what do
annoyed
you
with
do?
in the NHL. It's like somebody throws a big hit and they just blow the play dead. For what?
So the
What'd
Flyers
you blow it dead for?
So the Flyers should have got a penalty then.
I think that the refs should sit in their shit, and yes, the Flyers should have got.
Oh, no
so that the
way.
refs look bad.
Oh,
You
boo and fart.
If somebody makes a mistake, you don't double down on the mistake.
Yeah, they do it all the time.
Cole in your stocking.
No, but that doesn't make it right. Just because you do something doesn't make it right.
I would rather be outraged on behalf of John Tortorella this morning than the refs break their own rules, which are, hey, we blew the play dead for no reason. We were going to call a minor, now we're not. And by the way, we've seen this in the past where they look up at the board, they realize they fucked it up, and they don't do anything about it. So is it? So here's the deal: is it a minor penalty or is it not? Why did you blow the play dead? You pulled me over for speeding. Was I speeding or was I not speeding? This is what this is where I think the refs. You have to. There has to be a reason that you blow something
There's
dead.
4 officials on the ice, and I think you give yourself a 2-minute penalty.
No, but
you got to play with 3.
You're allowed to call a penalty, and then you all talk, and then you're like, oh, there was no minor penalty on the play. We made a mistake, and then you reset.
Okay.
Like that happens in sports all the time.
Here's my question, and this is the most important one. Why does this keep happening to John Tortorella? Because if you remember, and I think it was during the COVID bubble season, they messed up a penalty or something like that. They messed up a penalty right before second intermission. They then go to second intermission and they come back in the third period and they change the call entirely.
Oh.
And he lost his mind. I can't remember exactly what happened. I can't remember exactly who was involved. I think he was still on Columbus at the time. Or maybe he was on Philly and it was against Columbus. But this keeps happening to John. And I hope if it's got to happen to anyone, it needs to keep happening.
Yeah,
it's
fair enough.
way too entertaining.
Unlike Adam, I'm actually happy that in the end they got it right.
I just think it's bad. I'm angry when they try not to. Like there are so many times where getting it right is like such a secondary factor. I think that's my point.
I'm more interested to know what would have happened if Detroit scores on the 2-on-1 that occurred because Philly had too many men on the ice. Do they take back that goal?
I mean, yeah.
You think so?
I mean, listen. Did they deserve a penalty? No. But I think I want to get a little bit more clarity on why refs blow plays dead. It's been something that's bothering me the entire season. And I feel bad about making it about the Flyers and punishing them for this, which is legitimately not their fault.
You're so wrong.
But why can the refs just blow it dead with no reason?
That is such a rare... No, the reason is there's chaos on the ice that they caused.
And
they fucked up.
So why are they interrupting
they
the play?
They blew it dead because of the minor penalty on the Flyers.
Yes, which they called.
That's the stoppage of play.
Which they called.
And then they're allowed to review that penalty amongst themselves and take it back. It's the same thing like, okay, we blew it for a high stick. Like we thought the stick hit a guy's face. And then you go and talk to the linesman. He says, no, I saw it from this other angle. You made a mistake.
Not even a review.
So I was under the impression, and they could have changed this rule, that the only calls you could review are double minors
it's not a review. It's not a review. It's talking to the other officials on
Is
the
that
ice.
not a review of what just happened?
No, that's happened for all of your life.
It's a consultation.
Yeah, you've never seen the guys get together and say like, "Oh no, I saw that from another angle. That's a mistake."
All right,
you've never seen that happen, Adam?
I will yield. I will yield. I think that's a real fine line.
You'd be lighting their hair on fire if they called that penalty.
Oh yeah. But like that's because the 4-ref system doesn't work. It doesn't work any better than the one ref, one linesman system. And you can't tell me otherwise. It's stupid. I just feel
people are made of flesh and bone and they make mistakes.
100%. And listen, they should be able to take things back. My point is when they don't, and watch, it'll happen to the Leafs over the holidays.
So what you're saying is sometimes they don't correct their mistakes, so everyone should have to sit in it.
Yes.
Got it.
That's
so
terrible.
that they ultimately change it for the right thing. You should be able to review any penalty.
No, listen, it's definitely terrible, but I get it.
Because how many times have we seen, guys? How many times have we seen
don't understand
an errant
anymore.
high stick? How many times have we seen an errant high stick? Like I've seen players high stick themselves in the face and get a penalty called. Yeah. They draw a penalty from smashing themselves.
They didn't review this.
They consulted this. They reviewed it within each other, but between each other.
They didn't review. I don't know. They didn't review this. And the thing with the high stick,
and the only difference between a review is talking to Toronto with an iPad, and talking to each other.
No, but the thing with the high stick you're talking about happens all the time.
100%, which is why they should go and talk to each other.
Yeah, so
and call it back.
You've changed the conversation entirely.
That's been my argument this entire time.
No, it wasn't.
My argument is they're reviewing with each other. That's a review. There was a view of that, and we're reviewing it together as a force.
Now you're saying you want them to review everything on video.
I'm wanting them to get the call. Are you getting the calls right, or are you not getting the calls right?
They are getting the call right.
No, what if they don't? There are plenty of calls they get wrong.
Okay.
Plenty of calls they get wrong, and they don't look at it.
Yeah, no.
So is the goal Do we have human beings doing this, or do we have robots doing this?
Right.
This is my question.
This didn't happen in this instance.
Yeah, it did though. They called the fucking penalty.
Yeah, and then they the thing where they talk to each other, like that happened before video review existed. We're having two different conversations. This situation here happened before video review and it happened after video review, where another person saw something on the ice and they rescinded.
But this is what I don't understand about this crowd is that, like, listen, I want them to get. You say this all the time, Jesse. You want to get every call right.
Yeah,
So why don't we do it?
No, I agree.
This show,
if that's what you want to talk about, I think the system they have in the NFL where they have an eye in the sky, a referee, it's called video replay. It's called replay assist, I think is exactly the wording. It's been in place since around, I think 21 is when they kind of implemented it. When they have turnovers, where we see it very often, they have the guy instantaneously, because he's watching it on TV like everybody else. You can see things that happen. They'll be like, oh no, fix that. Video assist said, no, this is coming back. And they fix that. I would love for the NHL to have that system.
I agree with you.
I don't think that's what we were talking about at all.
I think that you're ignoring the fact that this happens all the time.
no, I'm giving you the snowman to cuddle with. You need it.
I'm upset.
This whole show has just been you screaming through the windshield, except in here.
Legal Zoom, and now this. All right. No, it's just fucking annoying, man. It's like, are you gonna get the? I agree. The right thing to do was for the refs to come in and to talk like they did. My question is, when it's clearly fucking egregious, and I've seen it happen to the Leafs so many times, and if you're an NHL,
It's always about the damn Leafs.
why can't they do that every time?
I now, Adam, you're making me hope the Leafs get screwed on a call.
I can't wait
Just for the
Leafs get
content.
screwed on a call. It's gonna happen tonight.
I just want to say that in this situation here, nobody got screwed. They made the right call without video.
He got screwed.
Everything was kind of normal, and I was just curious, like if they had scored, like we would have had a huge controversy. Like, do they take back the goal?
Right.
It's funny to see Tortorella yell, and I don't know how this devolved into this.
Did you have money on the Red Wings?
I don't know what happened.
Maybe. I'm kidding. I would.
All right.
I'm sorry. I would never.
All right. So over the holidays, we're not going to be recording over the holidays for the next 2 weeks, but that doesn't mean you are going to miss an episode of the SDP. We've banked 6 episodes for you. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They're going to be released. Regular time, regular shows. So you'll find that on wherever you find the show. You'll also be getting VIP. Regular Thursday night drops. One dropped last night. I hope you're enjoying it if you're a VIP member. If you're not a VIP member, what the hell are you doing? Get on the VIP, because we have 2 banger episodes coming up over the holidays for the VIPs, plus all the regular SDP episodes. Yeah, and we'll still have our live streams. We have a couple streams scheduled for when we're not recording over the course of the SDP. Steve's actually doing a sidecast tonight and tomorrow. And Adam, you got one in there as well, sometime
Monday.
in there. There'll be plenty of content on the channel, so look out for that. You won't be lost for content, but we won't be recording new episodes of the SDP unless Mitch Marner gets traded to the Detroit Red Wings in the next couple of days. So we'll see.
Which is illegal, so he won't.
Which is against the rules.
It is. Fuck it. Wait till your team gets screwed on a call. Come back to this conversation.
Yeah, nobody got screwed.
I know, but they get screwed all the time, Jesse.
Yeah, that's something else. You know what?
It's not. It's
no, you're right. You're
I'm
right.
trading you to the
I'm on
Rangers.
your side now.
I'm trading you to the Rangers.
Wow.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.